He's at 50 on the consensus board.
That is really high for a player who is 5'8" and a half, 180 pounds, who has never caught a football with his hands in his life and doesn't run a real route tree. And I love him. He's fun to watch.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of nailed the evaluation right there. I don't think we need to say anything else.
Welcome to the Balls Talk Sports NFL podcast. Victor, I am excited because this is our second round of 2026 NFL Draft positional rankings, and this is a fun one. We are bringing you our top 10 wide receivers. It's good timing, too, because it's right after the combine. These guys just ran yesterday. I'm feeling festive. I have now fulfilled the off-screen obligation. I can remove the hat, and I'm feeling ready to go. How are you doing today, Victor?
Doing pretty good. Yeah, a little bit sick, but we power through these things to bring you guys this episode. This is our first top 10. We did quarterbacks last week. It was a tremendous episode. I highly recommend y'all go watch it. Leave it a like if you do like it. Great conversations. Elton had a take or two that I thought was a little insane, but you know what? I respect the hell out of it, and maybe you guys will too. So definitely watch that video, but only after you watch this one, because I think this one's going to be a dynamite episode, because this receiver class is, I don't know. It's very weird. It's got a lot of different flavors, a million different players, and it seems like it's very deep. One of the more deep classes in this year's overall draft class. So I'm excited to talk about these guys. I got a lot of guys. We got a lot of guys to get through. It's top 10. So let's get into this.
Now, I do have to ask you real quick. So
Okay.
you're a wide receivers guy. Would you rather be sick during the wide receiver episode? Because it's like you're talking about wide receivers, you're going to have a good time regardless. Or is it like I want to be fully fresh for the wideouts episode, so you're disappointed today?
Well, if I wasn't sick, this episode might go 4 hours. So I think it's better I am. Maybe it'll tone me down a little bit. I won't be able to talk as much. I'll still manage to make it too, though.
Still down to get kinky?
Let's get kinky. Let's do it.
All right, then. So we'll get the show rolling with our number 7 to 10.
Yeah, let's do it. Well, do you have anybody that you watched that didn't make your list, but you wanted to shout out anyway?
So I'll be honest. It's been a little bit of a mad dash. I kind of just kicked into gear as far as scouting now, had to speed up the methodology a little bit, and I only got to 12 guys for this episode. Like you were talking about, this is a very deep wide receiver class. There are guys from the Senior Bowl that I want to go back and watch. There are guys who stood out at the Combine I want to go back and watch. There are guys that just had a lot of college production that I want to go back and watch. So the only two guys that I watched that were like legit big name guys, not just like random secondary watches, I was like, well, I might as well write them up. The only two guys in that category were Elijah Surratt from Indiana and Malachi Fields from Notre Dame. Did not make my list, and I know that's a take. I'm really interested to hear your thoughts on Malachi Fields.
Yeah, so both of them made my top 10, so we'll talk about them in a second. But
okay.
I think I got to 14 guys. There were so many more guys I wanted to get to. And obviously we will get to these guys eventually, just not in time for this show. So we'll have through periodic mock drafts and my guys episodes, you'll be able to hear more of our takes on those guys that you might not. If there's a guy you wanted to hear today and we didn't get to him, then maybe leave us a comment down below. Maybe we will get to him and we'll talk about him on the next episode. So guys that I got to, there were two guys that I didn't make my top 10 that I just really wanted to find a way to get him in there, but couldn't. Chris Bell out of Louisville just missed for me. I didn't love the tape. Obviously, is he in your top 10?
He
Did
is,
you get
yes.
to him? Okay, so we'll talk about him later, but he probably would have been in my top 10 if it weren't for the ACL tear. I'm not sure if he would have made it, but he really does. He's an honorable mention because of that. It's just he tore his ACL in the second to last game of the season. That makes the evaluation a lot more complicated, especially with that specific prospect. So he just missed, and so did Zachariah Branch, the Georgia receiver. Did he make your list? Did you watch him?
He did, yeah.
Okay, and I like the player. We'll talk about him in a second, but just missed my list. So a couple of guys, really nice players. I have day 2 grades on both of them though. So I mean, this just goes to show these are my 11 and 12, and I have day 2 grades on. Like I think these guys I probably shouldn't be falling at a day 2. Maybe under like the worst constraints they make the fourth round, but if they do, they're going to be scooped up really quickly. I think this is a really deep receiver class.
It seems like we're going to see pretty eye to eye on a lot of these players because, I mean, are you like super high on Malachi Fields?
No, I mean, well, we'll get to him in like a second.
Okay. Yeah, we're going to have, I think, pretty similar 12 to 7 groups here.
Yeah, I think so. I would be surprised. There's a couple of guys on my list who maybe are a little bit out of consensus. My list is not consensus. Like, it's not that far off from it, but it doesn't really toe that line. It's there might be a couple surprises, but I don't think there's anything like super massive that's gonna shock you. So I think 12 through 7. I'm not sure. We'll have to see.
Are you ready to reveal them?
All right, let's do it. You want me to go first, or do you want to go first?
You can go ahead.
All right. So as I just said, my number 10 is Malachi Fields out of Notre Dame. My number 9 is Elijah Surratt out of Indiana. So here 12 and 11, my 10 and 9, pretty easy. And then my number 8 this is someone who is I am considerably lower on it than consensus, is Denzel Boston out of Washington. And then number 7, another guy I'm a little bit lower on than consensus, is Casey Concepcion out of Texas A&M. Which you'll have
So we've
to. Am
got
I
some
pronouncing
overlap
that
there.
right?
Casey Concepcion?
Yeah.
Yes,
Do we
you
have the
nailed it.
official the Elson guaranteed pronunciation? All right. Let's go. We're off to a good start this year.
So my 10 to 7 at number 10, I have Jacoby Lane from USC. Do you have him or did he miss your top 10? I know you weren't a huge fan of his work during the Senior Bowl.
He was my lowest ranked receiver, 14. So
Okay.
he
At
missed.
number 9, I have Chris Brazzell II from Tennessee. At number 8, I have Zachariah Branch. And then at number 7, I have Chris Bell.
All right. Okay. And then Brassels in my top 6. So we'll talk about him later. But all right, interesting list. Yeah, Jacoby Lane I had 14, and then Chris Bell was out of my list as well, and Zachariah Branches just missed it as well. So there is a lot of overlap between 12 to 7 and 14 to 7 for us. I'm not surprised. It feels like they're starting to a few players are starting to carve themselves out a tier in that like second, third round, like late second, early third, day 2 range, and these are those kinds of guys. So who do we want to talk about first?
So you were pretty low on Jacoby Lane. I'm pretty low on Jacoby Lane as well. I have a 5th to a 6th round grade on him. Victor, I am not a huge fan of some of the receivers at the bottom of this class, and it is for one very specific reason that I think you're going to be pretty
Wow.
sympathetic to. It is that they don't get open. Jacoby Lane does not get open at all in college already. Like he is genuinely, I don't have like the PFF separation percentiles. I really wish I did, but certainly a bottom quartile college separator. Over the last 2 seasons, he's been hovering around half of his targets being contested catch opportunities. That is like there is no comp to that among relevant receivers in the
Yeah.
NFL. Now, the saving grace for Jacoby Lane and why I do think he could be a really effective role player, maybe a quality number 4 at the next level, his ability to box out and use his big hands. He had the biggest hands of any wideout for sure at the combine to just dominate matchups. I don't think anybody in this class does it better. Quarterbacks episode, I was talking about my trait grading system and how I'm very, very conservative with giving away A+ grades. I gave Jacoby Lane A+ box out ability. He's fully weaponizing his length. He's using his hands intelligently to swat down defensive backs' hands, fight back through the football on every catch, and bring the football in. He has a lethal one-hander. He's got to have the best one-handed catching ability in all of college football. And to sweeten things up a little, I think he's good in scramble drill as well. You recognize where this dude is on the field. And if, shit's kind of hit the fan as a quarterback, you throw it up to Jacoby Lane. Is he going to get open? Not really ever against man or zone, but for wide receiver packages, get him out on the field and maybe he can get you a touchdown or 2 a year. So that is my stance on Jacoby Lane.
Yeah, I came away actually a little bit higher on him than you did. So we're both considerably lower on him than consensus, but I had a 4th through a 5th on him, and I again, the athleticism is just the issue for me. I think his ceiling at wide receiver 3. I did see flashes later in the season of like, that looked like a better athleticism than we've seen on tape. Now, I don't think it's anything close. He ran a 4.47 at the combine. That's bullshit. I think there are some combine some combine 40 times are just ridiculous. Like there is a difference between obviously a guy running in like spandex versus him running in full pads, which with defenders bearing down on him, and we see that. And then sometimes guys run slower than you expect them to, and it's bullshit because they play faster on the field. It's just really weird, and it's where combine is just not going to tell you the full story of the athleticism. And with Lane, it's just not great. He's not a great linear athlete. He's a very poor lateral athlete, and that's just going to affect him against Oregon. If you really want to see athletic flashes, like you're really bought into Jacoby Lane, watch the Oregon game, USC Oregon late in the season. He was really able to show some separation there. That was nice, but like he said, he just catches everything thrown his way. If there's a defender on his back, he's going to catch it. The big thing that really did it for me was why I was so low on him is like, yes, you catch everything as long as there's a defender on you, because he makes the tough stuff look really easy. He also makes the easy stuff look really hard sometimes. Too many drops on tape, and you know what? He's not fast enough. He's not athletic enough to really win in the NFL. But he's also sitting at 200 pounds. He's not physical enough. He's not strong enough to beat press. He's not strong enough to muscle through and win physically on routes. So where does he project? Like you need to lose 20 pounds, or you need to lose 10 pounds, or you need to gain 10 pounds to be an adequate NFL player. But if you gain 10 pounds, then you're 20 pounds away from being an adequate NFL athlete. Like it's just, there's really no winning here. What's the ceiling? I'm not sure. I don't really know why he's this. I like the player, and I didn't know what his overall projection was before I watched him. So I was like, this is just a really nice day 3 guy, depth piece. And then I saw that people were projecting him early, and I was like, this is just kind of ridiculous. But I like the player. I really do. It's just it's too rich for my blood where he's being mocked right now.
I don't actually mind his raw straight line athleticism. He was actually a little bit more explosive, and I thought had a little bit more top end speed than I was expecting going in after watching him at the Senior Bowl. However, what carried over from my Senior Bowl watch of him, the lateral explosiveness is just probably the worst out of anybody I watched for this episode. He doesn't really have a good package to beat press coverage, and he doesn't really have the tools to develop a good package of releases to beat press coverage. Like I was talking about before, not exceptional against zone, just a very, very role specific player. But in that role, I think he's going to hold on a rock spot. I think he could have a couple entertaining plays a year for you.
Yeah, definitely. Why don't we segue that right into Malachi Fields, who I think is a different player, and I'm curious as to what grade you had on him, because you said you had a 5th or 6th on Lane, and you had Fields lower.
Yeah, I have the same grade on Malachi Fields, and after this episode, not like immediately after, but within the next week, I do want to get a third game in on Malachi Field, like 2 games and a highlight reel. I would prefer to have more tape exposure than that, but it was a very similar evaluation where I saw a very high percentage of Malachi Field's targets being contested already at the college level. I didn't love the athleticism, but overall, I liked his contested catch talent a little bit less. I think there are certainly strong arguments that can be made for Fields over Lane, which you will make, so I'll let you take that away.
I had a 2 through 3 on Fields. I loved the tape, and I think he had the highest contested catch grade of anybody in the class for me. Or did he actually? Let's make sure of that real quick. He did. He tied with Jacoby Lane, and a certain guy who catches legitimately everything thrown his way that I'm sure we'll talk about in our top 3. For contested catchability, I just love it. The difference between him and Lane is I think he's a better athlete than Jacoby Lane is by a marginal amount. Maybe, at least he's the same athlete. He's got 20 pounds on him, and he's got 1 inch and 20 pounds on him, and he just looks huge on the field. And not only that, he knows how to use his size. Like he is dominating guys. Jacoby Lane's winning, but he's not really dominating. These catches, they're contested catches at the college level, and NFL corner is snatching that shit away from you. You're not getting that off. You're not snatching that shit away from Malachi Fields. I gave this guy an A+ size grade, an A+ catch radius grade, just because of the just massive. He can go anywhere on the field and catch it seemingly anywhere. Got a great one-hand grab. He creates a lot of space on the sideline and just has ridiculous body contortion to fade away from the corner and find the ball. I mean, he's just so easy to find when you're watching tape. Like sometimes you can't find a guy because the sun is glaring down on the numbers, and you're like, who am I watching? Malachi Fields, never an issue. I immediately know where he is when I'm watching him, right? So you add that with the fact that he just doesn't really drop the ball. Drop rate reduced every year of his career. Technique's gotten a lot better. He frames that ball with tight hands. You know what I mean? So there's just a lot there, and I agree with you. He didn't get open on tape that much. I think part of it was that he just wasn't asked to run much intermediate stuff, which would have been a concern if I hadn't seen him do it at Virginia the year prior. I'd seen him. I watched some Virginia tape and I saw him do it. Like he was getting open over the middle of the field. He's for a bigger guy. He's really good at conserving speed on one cut moves. Like if you're just cutting on a dig route or a skinny post, he's really good at keeping his speed and not losing much of it. He's got surprising short area athleticness and explosiveness that we did see at the combine. I think he jumped somewhere in the neighborhood of 38, 39 inches. And you can really see that on tape. So I do think there is an avenue to him at least not just getting blanketed every play. And whereas Jacoby Lane is going to get messed up at the line of scrimmage in the league, Fields, he doesn't have the best release package. He's not the best at getting off of press, but I believe that you could teach him how to do that. I think you can. And the size is so much better. I see that ceiling of Drake London, of Michael Pittman. I'm surprised he didn't transfer to USC just because of that, right? But I see the ceiling there with Fields. I don't see it with Lane. I can see Fields being a really, really nice wide receiver too. I can see him being a bust as well. I am just really, really tempted to go more with the ceiling with him than I am with Lane. That's why I'm inclined to take him on day 2.
So I did not watch him at Virginia the year prior,
It's
and
not
maybe
that
if I
different.
did, it still might help because my big concern with Malachi Fields, it was the separation, and this is kind of going to become a theme. It's not just separating against man. One thing I'm focusing more on this year is separating against zone because
Sure.
I'd say there's about as much skill interactiveness finding ways open against zone as it is just standard one-to-one coverage. You got to be available. You got to understand the space. You got to understand tempo and just extending that window for as long as possible. I didn't see much of that with Malachi Fields. It felt like the route tree was pretty limited. And then the numbers bore that out. He was in the 150s this year in all college football for yards per route run against both man and zone. And just looking back at his career, again, I didn't watch that underclassman tape or that tape from last season, but he's never had more than 850 yards. He's never had efficiency metrics that really stand out. He's a fifth-year senior. So that's why I'm a little bit more bearish on the upside, but I do think I see a little bit of what you do. Like, this is why I'm so glad that we got all the Senior Bowl tape this year. Malachi Fields is at the Senior Bowl, and it's like, okay, you actually have some nice releases in your bag. You don't always show them
Yeah.
on the field, but I know it's in there somewhere. So after having this conversation, yeah, I probably am taking Fields above Lane. It's still very close. I think you can make arguments for both of them really having the higher floor or the higher ceiling to relatively similar sorts of players. So Malachi Fields not a player I would take on day 2, but does have trust target and matchup problem potential at the next level.
Definitely. At the very least, you can do a JJ Arcega-Whiteside and make him a tight end. All right. Do you want to talk about Chris Bell?
Worst comes to worst.
Yeah.
You said I should
Do you want to talk
open
about
it up
Chris
on
Bell?
Chris Bell.
Yeah.
Okay. So Chris Bell was one of the guys that I watched over summer. And I watched him when I was watching some Louisville player. I don't actually remember who it was. Chris Bell was not the point of that evaluation. I thought, okay, this is kind of a nifty, big-bodied player, very high contested catch win rate, solid athlete for his size, plays with a lot of competitive fire. And I wound up with a 7th-round grade on him over summer. And then right after that, I don't remember who the evaluator was, but somebody came out with like a 1st-round grade on him and he shot up draft boards. And it's like, okay, I don't know if I'm stupid or if that's going to come down over the course of the season. However, Chris Bell kind of did justify that this year. He got better in a lot of key areas. Most importantly, the hands got more consistent. And I do trust the improvements to his just pure hands consistency, bringing the ball into diamond technique, because watching him play last year in 2024, it's not like he was fighting the football all the time. It's just like yeah, you got your hands up and your timing was slightly off or your alignment was slightly off. It felt like there was room for him to develop into a much more consistent player, and he took that step up this year. He was also even better in contested catch situations. He is right around 6'2", 222 pounds of like
Yep.
damn near pure muscle, and you see the play strength with him. You see it during the routes. You see it at the catch point. You see it as a blocker. I think he is the best blocker out of anybody that I watched for this list. Are
He's up
you a
there.
Elijah Surratt blocker type guy?
Not, I mean, yeah, I did like Surratt, but there were a couple other guys. Like there's actually quite a few great blockers in this class, but he's up there. I haven't made up my mind who the best is. He's up
I
there.
agree. I agree. We'll talk about that more
He's
later,
the
but yeah,
nastiest.
Chris Bell brings a lot of anger, a lot of penalties with it, but
Yeah.
you like the hostility. And what you're left with is a player that is very raw. He is running a very linear route tree, just a lot of goes, a lot of comebacks, a lot of slants, and he's not running them with a lot of nuance. I don't think he's protecting his route stems very well. Sometimes he is kind of showing the defense where he's going, but he is super athletic. He's super powerful. And I think the ball skills have really come along for this player. The ACL tear majorly sucks, but assuming that he can get fully healthy, which, in today's game, he probably can't get fully healthy. The problem is just that he's going to miss a large chunk of his first season. You could wind up with a really high upside player. And I do think he has a respectable floor as well as, you know, low end wide receiver 3, high end wide receiver 4. I don't think this is a guy with like total bust off the team within 3 years downside. So that's why I'm a little higher on Chris Bell.
What's your round grade on him, out of curiosity?
Second to a third.
All right, so I have a third through a fourth on him. We don't see him all that differently. There are a couple of key areas. I think the thing that just drops me down around, I'll spend a little bit more time talking about the NFL fit, is that there are a lot of things like I liked about him. I mean, the speed is obviously elite. The size speed combo is great. He's really good at finding the soft spots in short areas and zone on those short routes. I actually thought he was. I thought his strongest tape was when he was running short routes, getting open for the quarterback, maximizing that space. He'd slow down in between linebackers and Metch. Just a little thing that every NFL receiver does, but not that many college receivers do it, right? But Chris Bell did it, and then he would catch the ball, and then he would just turn on the jets and run through like 5 different guys. And he had the best of anybody in this class, the best trait of anybody in this class when it comes to like knowing where everybody is when you catch the ball and then making the move after that to avoid them. He was incredible at it, right? He was really good at a lot of things, but he was really good at a few things, but I just think, I mean, people are talking about it. The Broncos are talking about him at 30 right now. I don't understand it. I think some people are kind of saying, all right, he's the size speed freak. That must apply to every other athletic trait. It doesn't. He is just a size speed freak. His acceleration, his deceleration, burst, short area athleticism were all average to below average for me. I think if you're going to be that guy like a DK Metcalf is, where your job is to just run straight and then occasionally turn around, that's great. You just have to be able to turn around. And Chris Bell can't turn around. Like, he just can't do it. Maybe he will be able to do it eventually. His catching was really inconsistent. He's gotten better at it. Maybe he'll eventually be able to do it. His route running, he's gotten better. Again, he's gotten a little bit better, but it's still not very good. He runs at one speed, not much tempo there, not much nuance. He struggled. The releases take way too long. I mean, there's so many times where he gets open, but it's like 3 or 4 seconds into the route, and Miller Moss has already sacked or he's moved off his read. So you've got this really raw prospect who you have a lot of traits you like, but a lot of those are athletic traits and size and speed and stuff. And then he tears his ACL. So you're already struggling. There's already a few teams who are just out on him because they don't fit the offense or they don't fit what you're looking for. And now you're looking at a guy, a size speed freak, who has built a lot of his game on his athleticism. His after the catch ability is great because he's able to turn on the jets. He's able to take the top off the defense because he's so big and because he has the threat of that contested catch. They have to guard the sidelines and all that stuff. Now he's probably not going to play much of his first year. That takes an entire year of development, not completely off the table, but a lot of it off the table. So you've got a raw guy who's not going to be able to develop as much in his first year. And then his second year, he's still going to be athletically limited because you're not going to be able to trust that ACL a year into it. Nobody can. I mean, you see all the time, guys, they miss a year of the ACL, and they come back and they're just not as good because they cannot trust their ankle. And I think Chris Bell, a guy who already relies on his athleticism so much and sometimes struggles to trust his athleticism when cutting, like you can really see that, how he takes a few extra steps, that is going to really fuck with him. So I don't think you're getting a maximum development season until his third season in the NFL. I don't really think you're getting the best out of Chris Bell until his third season in the NFL, at which point you're not even sure if he's a good NFL player because of all of these traits that he just doesn't have or he hasn't been able to develop. You're banking He's already a very high risk, high reward prospect, and you're banking that on a guy who might not play at his best for the first 2 years. You might be losing 2 developmental years for him. I'm not taking him if I'm a team trying to win right now. If I'm a team that's trying to develop, my competing window is in 2 to 3 years. He's a much better prospect for me, but he's still incredibly worrying. I like the tape, I like the prospect, but the ACL tear just changes so much of the evaluation. It sucks. It's brutal. He didn't deserve it to happen to him, but it might ruin his career. It's a terrible thing, but it might. And I think that's something that NFL evaluators are going to take into account. I don't really see how he goes in the first round. I struggle to see how he goes in the second round. Maybe there are things on the tape that I didn't see. Obviously, I'm no expert myself, but that's my take on him. I did not dislike the player. I liked him. I liked his prospects. It's just you have to take into account what is the realistic set of outcomes for this guy, and it's just not very good. And that's my spiel on it. I'm sorry, I don't like to be negative, but it's not being negative. It's just this just sucks. You hate to see a guy like this get injured, you know.
I'm glad you mentioned the release package because I do think that is one of the biggest limitations to his game. And then the point you raised off of that, where you mentioned that he's actually very effective against zone coverage. It's going to wind up being a very strange NFL skill set because you see this guy that is 6'2", 222, and it's like, okay, he's a DK Metcalf, he's a perimeter freak. And then you look at where he really excels, and it's like, yeah, he will go up and he will win contested catches at the sideline. But also, this is kind of a theme in this class. I loved seeing this trait from a lot of guys. Chris Bell is a very smart player who will go to war to move the chains. I think that he knows the right depth to run his routes at. And you mentioned like he receives the ball and he knows where everybody is. Yeah, sometimes he's going to capitalize on that spatial understanding to burst it to the outside and tear up those angles and find a way to wrap it around for like 30 extra yards. But a lot of the time, he's getting closed in on from the side. It's 3rd and 2. He's just going to immediately get down. He's going to get over the chains and he's going to move the stick. So that's more of a slot skill set. I do think I have more faith in his hands consistency than you do. Let me see what his drop rate was at this year. And I'm not like a pure drop rate merchant.
Neither am I.
We're going to talk about a guy soon where very low drop rate, and I did not think that the tape really bore that out. But I thought Chris Bell had pretty steady technique. He was at 4% this year. 3 drops, but he also got a lot of targets. He was a key cog in that Louisville offense. It's gotten better every season, 22, 12, 8.5, 4. So I really think he's steadily progressing. The focus drops that I saw over the summer have been eliminated. And then I think the final reason I'm higher on him, I do have more faith that it'll be probably half a year-ish to recover fully from that ACL. I do think he can be pretty good to go going into year 2.
Sure.
And you're not looking at that second NFL season being scrapped, but injury complications, it's really hurt him in the pre-draft process. I would have loved to see this guy at the Senior Bowl. I would have loved to see how this guy tested at the combine, and that got taken away from us. So
yeah, and maybe I'm stuck in that 2010s era of thinking on ACLs and Achilles, and the science has improved a lot more since then, and players are bouncing back at historic levels. But I don't know if that's going to be him. It's just another risk that you have to take into account. And with the hands, I don't really think it was the drops. I just thought in contested catch situations, the flashes were all there, but there were a lot of times where he just got pushed to the sideline or he mistimed the jump and he just struggled to control his body and contort it the right way to make the play. And I just thought like he didn't catch the ball in traffic very well. They're not going to be counted as drops, but like I thought you should have caught that. You know what I mean? And I think a lot of it had to do with his hand technique. His hands are really wide. which I don't get because he's got massive hands. Your hands don't need to be that wide. You can come in at like Malachi Fields. He's got a really tight. He's gonna bring it in tight when you're catching low. He's gonna bring the pinkies together, right? He's got really good technique, but Bell's gonna go further out here where the ball's just going to slip through your fingers sometimes. And it did a couple of times. He was able to kind of bobble it and catch it, but in like those in traffic scenarios, that bobble ends the play. So again, it's not a drop, but it might be. It would have been a catch if he had better technique. But again, that stuff was all there. The flashes were all there. I really like the player. I struggled to take a risk on a guy that I see as such a developmental prospect going through an ACL tear when you just don't know how he's going to deal with that. So
I think that's completely fair.
Yeah. All right. Where do we want to go next?
So I have Zachariah Branch left. Do you have anybody like that you could lead off? No.
Surratt, I think.
Yeah, why don't we go with Surratt?
Yeah. So Surratt's my number 9 receiver. I have a 2 through 3 on him as well. If you know what, if athleticism weren't a thing, he might be the best receiver in the class.
I agree.
If it, like I view him similarly to how I view Garrett Nussmeier in the QBs. He does everything I want to see from a college receiver, a guy that I'm watching. It's just, you know what, the athletic stuff, it's not all there, right? He doesn't check every box. I don't think it's as bad as some people say it is. Like that's probably our difference, is I see his athleticism just a little bit better than you do. I just love the tape. I mean, I think he came in 6'2.5", 210, plays a lot bigger than that. You know what I mean? He plays like he's Malachi Fields, and often it works, right? We talked about these Jacoby Lane, Malachi Fields, who weren't able to really separate and weren't able to get off the line really well. I thought Surratt actually was able to separate at a decent clip, and he was probably pound for pound the best technician in this class when it came to releases and route running. He's just got a great release package. Defenders really never know what he's going to do. He's going to keep his distance really well. He's going to get outside of the defender's frame and then cut back in. A really tough guy to get a hand on. And you don't really say that for a lot of bigger guys. A lot of bigger guys know they could just muscle through the defenders, and Surratt did that multiple times. He proved he could do it, but he also proved he could get out there and make the plays. So that's instant separation. He was able to gain himself, worked really well on a lot of those short routes, quick hitter RPOs that Indiana loved to run. That's why he got the nickname, I think, Waffle House. He's always open, because he's just always open short. Fernando Mendoza needs a quick hitter. He's got Surratt. But when you're comparing him to Malachi Fields and Jacoby Lane, what really sticks apart with him is he's so much smoother than them, right? He's just able to flip those hips and peel to the outside. Like, he's got him and Omar Cooper, the other Indiana receiver who we're going to talk about later, both have this incredible peel out route where it's like they're peeling a page of a book and their hips just loosen and open and they go outside, and it's the receiver coach is doing great things there. I actually looked this up. The receiver coach is Mike Shanahan. No, it's not that Mike Shanahan. It's a different Mike Shanahan. No relation. All right. Anyway, he's a great coach, it seems like. He's a tremendous technician. His change of direction and lateral agility, it's not great, but I do think it's enough in the NFL. Another guy, he's just not going to drop the football. He's a tremendous contested catcher. We talked about boxing out guys, really giving yourself the most space possible to make that play and giving the defender the least chance to make it. I thought he was really good at that. Tremendous in the sideline, tremendous in the red zone, not scared over the middle of the field. I thought he was really good after the catch. He was able to find space, go through there. I mean, he's not going to be this elite number 1 wide receiver, but he's got such a great floor. And I do think he has that ceiling of just a reliable, good wide receiver 2 that you don't really feel like you have to replace, because he's able to maximize his athleticism. He's not going to leave steps on the field. The route running's great. There's just not many things he does poorly as a receiver. All that stuff's going to translate to the NFL. I think the athleticism will be enough to be a good NFL starter. It's not enough to be number 1. That's what I'm betting on. I'm betting that his athleticism is good enough. It may not be, and that's probably the difference between us. I'm going to let you talk now, but that's how I see Elijah Surratt.
You're correct. It is indeed the athleticism. I thought that he had the worst long speed of anybody in the class. I did not think that his fluidity or his stop-start talent, I did not think those were nearly as bad. It was just, he gets the ball on a slant, and then 10 yards later, it's a linebacker that's chasing him down. And then you go to the targets profile on him, And in his entire Indiana career, because he played at James Madison prior, and before that, I believe he was at a community college. I don't have that in my notes. I'll have that on the draft board when all is said and done. So there, his usage was a little different. But at Indiana, he has only fielded 2 targets over the deep middle part of the field. That really sticks out compared to everybody that we've talked about, even the other slow, big bodied types of receivers. It's just, I don't think that he has the ability, even in college, to get open when there's a safety that has a chance to hunt that area of the field. And that's not going to be there for him in the pros either. So you got to look at what can he do in the short intermediate game. And I do think that he is really respectable there because, like you mentioned, he is a technician, might have the best overall release arsenal in this class. I think he knows when to use his moves. He just has really good technique on his moves as well, like
Yeah.
getting head fakes in there, making sure there's not any wasted movement off the line of scrimmage. And I think he has nice moments as a route runner. I think he makes very good use of tempo. It's just, I think I'm lower on his change of direction as well. There were a lot of routes where I thought that if he dressed up a little bit more, he could have created separation, but he didn't add an extra step in there because he didn't really have the space to. He doesn't have the foot speed to be able to get an extra jab step or run the pressure stem and get the cornerback turned around deep down the field. He's just got to make it a speed cut. He's probably selling his intentions a little bit early because he knows he's got to cheat on the angle a little bit so that he can snap off that dig route. And just that little cheating is enough to already at the college level have a lot of route breaks already taken away. It's going to get worse in the pros. This is another one of these players, and I think this is the last guy I'm going to talk about this with, where it's like a
Call it away
disproportionate
early.
amount of his college targets are already contested. And I'm just going to be very low on that type of player. I think that he is smart in a lot of ways. He is super tough, especially after the catch. He doesn't drop the football. He will win for you at the catch point. It's just, I think at the pro level, he can run comebacks using that pro push. You can run him on 9 routes and throw him shots up the boundary. You can let him go to work on a slant and he's not going to drop it. It's just a very limited role player type of usage. I think this is a player who has maxed himself out and that's commendable, but this probably is his peak.
That's fair to say. Just like with him, I feel like the context really rose above with Jacoby Lane and the other guys. It was just kind of why wasn't he getting a lot of deep over the middle of the field targets? Because Indiana didn't throw a lot of deep over the middle of the field because Fernando Mendoza doesn't like to do that. Why did he get a lot of contested catch scenarios? Because I mean, I watched basically Fernando Mendoza's entire season, so I know that for the second the play breaks down, Fernando Mendoza is chucking it in Surratt's general direction, whether he's covered or not. Like every single time, it was just a thing. Like I already kind of knew, I didn't know, but I had an idea of who Surratt was because I saw him so much on the Mendoza tape because he was just getting so many fucking targets because Mendoza loved throwing him the ball. And he got a lot of contested catch targets because there was just a lot of short stuff, a lot of RPO stuff where he's covered, but Mendoza knows he can throw that and he's going to have the strong hands to make that catch and bring it down. And I absolutely agree with you. Like, the deep, he's not really good at the deep stuff. That's not where you're drafting for. I think that stuff's kind of overrated. Especially like if you're gonna take him, you know what you're doing with him. I don't think you're doing a lot of deep stuff with him. I mean, there are a lot of guys, there are a lot of elite receivers in the league who just don't really do much deep stuff. Obviously, not very similar players, and he does a lot more deep stuff in the NFL than I think Surratt will. And Surratt does not have the ceiling, but Amon Ra, he doesn't make his money doing deep passes. Like he can and he does a lot of stuff like that, but most of his stuff comes on slants, it comes on digs, it comes on outs, and it comes on comebacks. Stuff like that is where he makes his money, not necessarily always deep routes. So you can get Surratt in the building as maybe like a power slot, going in there using that size advantage and that ability to make those catches in RPOs and stuff like that. That could be an NFL fit for him, or just an outside receiver who can really get things going, especially if he can learn to really deal with more physical corners and their jams. If he can learn to deal with that, I think he can do a lot of stuff there. Doesn't have the highest ceiling in the world, but I really like his projection in the NFL a lot more than I like Lanes and Fields. I have a 2 through 3 just like I do on Fields, but Fields is a lot lower. He's more to the 3 range. Surratt's more to the 2 range for me. So I love Surratt. If he might have been my favorite actual pure wide receiver in this class.
So you think he's near the top of the class in terms of ability to break down zone coverages then?
Absolutely. I mean, I don't think I think he's near the top of the class. I didn't think he was the best. I thought he was good at finding space. He knew what he was looking at overall. I didn't think he was elite at it. I think there's room for improvement, but overall, I thought he was just on it. You ask him to run a hitch route, he's going to find the space, and he's going to make himself open for Mendoza, another guy who just ate on scramble drills. All right, was that everybody?
We still got Zachariah Branch to talk about.
There it is. Yeah.
So I'll open it up on Zachariah Branch since I'm a little bit higher on him. I am lower on Zachariah Branch than consensus is. I think I have a third to a fourth on him.
That's what I do too.
So at least a little bit lower than consensus.
His pick was definitely on the consensus different. Board. Yeah.
He's at what?
He's at 50 on the consensus board.
That is really high for a player who is 5'8" and a half, 180 pounds, who has never caught a football with his hands in his life and doesn't run a real route tree. And I love him. He's fun to watch.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of nailed the evaluation right there. I don't think we need to say anything else.
He is athletic. I don't think he's like Tank Dell levels of twitchy, which is what makes me a little nervous. Like, yes, this is a player where in a vacuum in the NFL, you put the ball in his hands, he's going to be more effective than the average wide receiver is. But I don't really know what he can do at the NFL level other than basically get schemed up touches, at least early on. The reason that I have a third to a fourth round grade on him is because he is a third-year junior with good athletic traits, and he doesn't drop the football. Like, there is a pathway for this guy to get a lot better at a lot of stuff and become a real quality starter. But if he doesn't progress relatively quickly, he is going to have a very limited role because I don't think he's an elite athlete, and I don't even think he's elite after the catch. I think he's good. He's instinctive. He is very elusive. One big trait I'm looking for after the catch is, it's hard to explain, but it's just sort of the control that you run with. It's the ability to explode forward and then know where everyone around you is and just slam on the brakes. It's different than explosiveness. It's even a little different than stop starts. Just like every step, every little movement has power behind it. And I think that Zachariah Branch is better in that department than anybody in the class, but he just doesn't really do any of the wide receiver stuff right now. I mean, his route tree is your occasional slant and crosser, your now screen, and your go ball. That's about it. And he doesn't drop the football, but he also jumps at things that are chest level every single time and catches it on his stomach, and you go from there. So you got to coach that out of him. There are flashes. There are reasons to be excited about Zachariah Branch, but it was a pretty fast evaluation.
Yeah, definitely. You kind of know what you're looking at. As a college player, I have no idea what I'm looking at in the NFL. Who knows? It's going to take. That's the thing with him. I have a third through fourth on him because I think if you've got a smart OC who has a plan for him, you're taking him. I absolutely understand taking him the top 80. I absolutely get it. If you've got a plan for him, but if you don't have a plan and you just kind of like the player, then I wouldn't take him in the top 100, right? It just doesn't really make sense because I think I'm a little bit higher on him as a pure receiver. The route running, again, not a big route tree, but what he did run, I did like. He's a very disciplined route runner. Like, he doesn't really make mistakes, not much wasted movements. He's really able to threaten the cushion and make sharp cuts. And he keeps his speed really well. A lot of the times we talk about receivers who are really athletic and they're able to get separation, but then they just kind of lose that in the NFL. And that's because they can't keep their speed through their cuts sometimes. We just kind of assume they can. That's not an issue for Branch. He needs refinement in his route running. Like, he just needs to, he's hitting that like B- tier of route running. You just need to elevate. You need to get to that A tier when you get to the NFL if you want to get separation, because the NFL corners are going to bump you. They're going to hit you. They're going to jam you. They're going to do everything they can to knock you off your course. And while I do love him against physicality, against tough coverage, like, he's got that dog in him. He transferred to Georgia for a reason. All right. He's a dog. He's going to go out there. He's going to lay out for a catch. He's going to get obliterated. He's going to get right back up and hit the first down right in your face. No fear in this guy at all. I love him. But in the NFL, it's going to be a little bit tougher to do that, right? I still have faith he's going to get right back up and do a little dance, but it's going to be tough. It's going to be tougher to do that. So I think we see him very similarly, but you just got to have a plan if you're going to take him. He's so small, and I like his athleticism, but again, it's not elite or anything. I thought Tank Dell was a better athlete, and also probably needs a good quarterback because the catch radius just isn't really very good. So you need a guy who's going to be able to hit him on the chest or right in stride, or else he's just not going to work again. And we're talking about, well, you're just going to need to get him a lot of schemed up touches in the NFL if you want him to work. You're already kind of seeing that. At Georgia, half of his touches were screens. So he already needs a lot of schemed up touches. It's similar to the Chris Bell thing. What's the NFL ceiling? What's the NFL evaluation? How does he fit in an NFL offense? I don't know. We'll see.
This is a player with really good bones. He's got the route snap. He's got the athleticism. He's got the instincts. He's got the toughness. You just got to fill in just about everything in between. All right, so that was our 7 through 10. Now we're going to move on up to 6 through 4. So Victor, you want to reveal yours first?
All right, let's do it. So my number 6 is going to be Chris Brazzell out of Tennessee. My number 5 is going to be Jeremy Bernard out of Alabama. And my number 4 is going to be Omar Cooper Jr. out of Indiana.
I didn't get to Jeremy Bernard. That's unfortunate. It's good to know that he's the real deal, though. And, like, that's got to be one of the guys that I watch next, like, right before we get into mock draft season.
He's a stud.
Good to know. Good to know.
All right, how about you?
Talk about him. My 6 through 4 is Omar Cooper at 6. Then I have Casey Concepcion at 5 and Denzel Boston at 4.
All right, great. So I think I'm assuming we have the same top 3, so we can just talk about all those guys now.
If we don't have the same top 3, we are gonna have a hell of a take somewhere in there.
Josh Cameron, number 1. Yeah, all right. Who do we want to start things off with?
You want to take it away on Chris Brazzell?
Yeah, let's do that. So I think I told you we were talking about it a while ago because I watched Brazzell a while ago. We were talking about it before one of the episodes, and I was like, I think I realized that I have a type at wide receiver. That, like, yeah, I'm aware that this guy's probably not going to work out in the league. I'm still going to take him very high in the NFL draft, and I think that type is Chris Brazzell. It's just the super long, super tall, super fast guy that runs in a straight line and then turns around, and then he gives you just enough flashes to make you believe he can be that dynamic number 1 receiver. He's not going to work out in the NFL. I can tell you now. He's not gonna. All right, but I still have a true 2 on him. Right, I'm going to take this guy in the second round, and I had a 1 through a 2 when I watched him the first time. I barely brought that down, so he's on the cusp of a 1 through 2. All right, I love Brazzell, and another thing going against him is he's a Tennessee receiver. Those guys never work out. It's just such a non-NFL system. Like, they're just not doing any NFL stuff there. It's a tough evaluation. This guy's probably not going to work out. I don't give a shit. Chris Brazzell, number 6, with a true 2. So let's actually talk about him real quick. So as I said, I think he ran a 4.37 at the combine. Absolutely shows. He's 6'4", 198, and just takes the top off of defenses. It's not just it's not just the speed, it's the acceleration and the burst. He just hits 4th gear in an instant. Like, nobody in this class is better at threatening the cushion of a corner. Those corners have to flip their hips so quickly when he's coming at them. It's just incredible. And then you add in that with just freakish change of direction and stop-start ability for someone that tall. I don't really see that from a guy that's that long-limbed. He can go straight, and then he can turn around with the best of them. He can do all of it. Those are the 2 necessary things for his pro fit. He reminds me of that Brian Thomas, Christian Watson type of prospect where you're asking him to do a lot of linear stuff, and then you're just hoping he figures out the lateral stuff in the NFL. And that's what I'm hoping, because I see a lot of flashes in that lateral stuff in the NFL. Like the route running ability, 30% of the plays, mind-blowing. It's insane. It's tremendous. Like, he's hitting it with nuanced head fakes. Like, he's just keeping that speed through the break, incredibly hard cuts over the middle, and he's just leaving guys in the dust. And then the other 70% of the time, it's just lazy. He's kind of just turning and, not really giving a shit about it, I guess. I mean, he still cares, but it's like there's no salesmanship. He just relies on athletic ability, and anytime an athletic corner faces him on those plays, he's just gonna be in his hip pocket the entire day. So I don't know who's the real Chris Brazzell. I don't know, because if you look I can't ignore you looking that good that much of the time. I also can't ignore you looking that bad that much of the time. What really did win me over with him, though, was that along with Surratt, I thought he had one of the best release packages in the class. He at the line, he was just incredible at. So a big thing for me as far as releases, especially in the NFL, is being able to get your body outside of the corner's frame and then go the other way. You're going to take a very large step to the outside, get that corner to flip his hips the second off the line and then turn the other way, or do a little stutter and then go that same way. That is how most wide receivers win in the league. That's how Davante Adams makes his money. That's how Justin Jefferson makes his money. They get outside of the corners' hips. They get outside of their frame. They make them uncomfortable. They make them declare, and then they do their thing. That gives you the leverage. That gives you advantage throughout the entire route. Brazel was the best in the class at doing that, in my opinion. He was able to string together multiple moves, just keep the corner on his heels the entire time, and that gave him so much more space to work with. So that plus the flashes of technique, and it wasn't always perfect. There were some times where like he did just like the routes where he just kind of gave up. He left that on the back burner and just did a straight release when he should have done more. But I saw that release stuff a lot more than I saw the good route running. Really smart guy as well. Thought he was able to find the zones, just play the game the right way. A very smart guy. Doesn't drop the ball that much. I think only 2 drops in this past season. There are issues. He's not really consistent at any one thing. There are a lot of bad stuff on the tape for a guy who's so tall. He just can't time the ball in the air that well. The contested catch ability is just bad. It needs to improve a whole lot. He's going to get pushed around by bigger corners a lot unless he puts weight on. Inconsistency and all of that. He's really athletic, but he's just not very good after the catch. Inexplicably, there's just nothing there. He's a Tennessee receiver. There's a million reasons why this guy doesn't work out, and I'm sure he probably won't. But you know what? This is my guy, so I'm sticking with him. He's I probably have him lower than consensus, but I don't care. I like him. I like him more than you do, even if you have him ranked higher than I do. That's my thesis on Chris Brazel.
So I clearly need to watch more tape on him because I struggled to find Chris Brazel reps against press coverage. And
Really?
so it was just kind of an unknown for me. And I assume, well, he's a Tennessee receiver. System is kind of designed to get their guys a lot of free releases. Surely
Yeah.
he hasn't been coached up on that, and he doesn't have an effective release package. So Chris Brazel knows how to get off the line against press. Okay, we're kind of talking about a different player here. However, I do think that we're different on him in one key area, and it certainly is not the athleticism. I agree. This guy's an absolute cushion crusher. The flashes of even leaping contested catchability, it's not consistent, like you mentioned. This is a guy who is big but does not know how to box out very well. The flashes are there, but what I don't like about Chris Brazel, the drop rate was way down this season. He was the guy I was referencing earlier when I was saying that I think sometimes drop rate can lie
Yeah,
because
I get you.
the volume of either double catches or just bullshit, how did that ball stay in your hands catches with Chris Brazel was wild. I swear he was catching the back half of the football probably 20-ish% of the time. He was making body catches off the face mask. It's like, oh, that's
Yeah.
not how that's supposed to go. And this is kind of a take I've had for a long time, actually. And as I've learned more and more about wide receiver craft, this is one of the things I've really stood by. One thing I'm looking for, you catch the front half of the football for sure, so that it doesn't squeak through your hands, but you got to time up the hands and you got to pull it down immediately so that you're not accidentally banging it off your knee or hitting it into the ground, or you're not giving the defensive back a chance to play trail technique and get in there for a late pass breakup. And there were just a lot of reps where I thought Chris Brazel was hanging that football out, and there were opportunities where it was almost jarred loose and it just barely was not. And if he was a little younger, maybe not so much of a big deal, but I mean, he's had, I believe, 4 seasons of pretty significant experience. So that's what I'm worried about. It could absolutely get better with coaching. It's just, I'm nervous that it won't. He's going to run deep on you. He's going to be explosive. The change direction is great. I like that he can make a cradle catch. He can work over the shoulder. Like, there's one guy where I'm really worried about his over the shoulder catch ability, and I think that's a major negative on his stock. That is not an issue for Chris Brazel. he can absolutely bring in that 60-yard touchdown ball. So very high upside player. I agree with you, probably going to be a bust, but what if he's not?
Yeah, because I really do see him so similar to Christian Watson in the league. So if you're even with the injury stuff and somewhat slender frame, you're obviously a Packers fan. You've watched a lot of Christian Watson. Where would you take Christian Watson if you know Christian Watson is turning into who he is? Where would you take him in the draft?
Do I get a guarantee of health?
No.
Okay, well, God, of course you have to do
You
that to me.
you got he's got a little bit better. He's got Brazel health. Let's say Brazel because Brazel
Okay.
hasn't had any major injuries, but there's no guarantees.
Christian Watson with an ambiguous bill of health. I think I'll take that player at about pick 25.
All right, Brazel's going at pick 25. You heard it here first. No, he should go later
Completely
because
great comp. I saw that as well.
yeah, but you know what? I'm willing to die. There are just a few hills I'm willing to die on, and sometimes as draft analysts, you have to die on a hill. Even if you know you're gonna die, you have to do it. You have to do it gracefully. That's what I'm trying to do here.
I respect the hell out of that.
Thanks. All right, where are we going next?
KC Concepcion, my number
All
5.
right,
So I'm not super high on Concepcion. I have a true 2 on him, which I think is probably lower than consensus.
he's at 26 on the consensus board.
Okay. He's not exactly the player that I thought he was going to be. I thought I was going to be watching this really twitched up type from what I've heard about him. And like, look, I do think he has good foot speed. I do think he's quick. I think he's certainly fast enough to run the full route tree. But what I really liked about Concepcion is what he brings as a route runner. I thought he had some of the best stem uniformity in this class. You watch him on tape, you don't know where this guy is going to go. And he supplements that by attacking leverage really hard. I think he's the best in this class at getting into guys' blind spots consistently. He wins with tempo as well. I mean, that stem phase of his route, getting close to being maxed out, I think he can do some good work as a hand fighter and bring a little bit more physicality to that phase. But the baseline of separation that Concepcion has, I think, is very high because I do think that he changes directions efficiently as well. There's not a lot of wasted movement through his routes. I think that his release package is not super deep. I didn't see a really deep bag of moves, but I thought he deployed them very well. He had a couple really decisive hand wins, just chopping down that defensive back and maximizing that physicality at the line of scrimmage, which I think if you can do that at the line, you can build that into your routes. And now we're talking about a guy who's getting really, really challenging to cover. I wish that he had better hands, both
Yeah.
catching the open ball and catching the contested ball. I think he's unexceptional in both phases. Just the diamond technique, he'll brick it off the hand sometimes. It's not bad. It's just it leaves more to be desired. He's not one of these guys where they just take their eyes off the ball and truly just clang it off the hands. It's not a focus drops issue with him all the time. And I maybe wish it was a little bit more often. Instead, it's the I'm stretching out for a ball that's up here. And that's a catch that NFL wide receivers make 90% of the time, and Concepcion is making it 50% of the time. Or hanging tough over the middle of the field. Felt like there were times where he was hearing footsteps. And when you're going to be a separator type, you got to separate inside and you got to separate outside. You can't have that one area of the field walled off if you're fundamentally making your money in the short game. So I do think he's a future wide receiver too. We'll see if he's a good one. We'll see if he's an okay one. I think that's what the outlook is for him. However, I watched his punt return tape. I love what he's going to do as a punt returner. He is super elusive with the ball in his hands. That absolutely translates to his play as a wideout as well. This can be a player with a designed touch role in your offense, but even just the technical aspects of being a punt returner. This was his first season doing it. Looks super natural, making fair catch decisions and just getting under the ball consistently, getting a good read every single time. Kind of has a sixth sense for the way that lane's set up. And look, I know punt returner is not a super valuable position, but he might be the best or second best one in this class. So that is a value adder, in my opinion, for KC Concepcion. And I want to hear your take on him.
Absolutely agree. Punt returner is it's a decently valuable thing for a team to have because there are a lot of guys that just there are a lot of teams that they just don't get any value off punts. That's an extra 15, 10 yards. That's a first down a game. There's something to be said for that, right? And I think I'm actually a little bit higher in his athleticism than you are. The short area stuff was just so amazing. He's just rockets off the line. Like genuinely elite acceleration for me as far as stressing corner, like, and just like him and Brazel were so good at that, just making sure that corners knew that they had to declare quickly or else they were going to get burnt. Right. And I didn't think the speed was as good as the acceleration, but like he was just able to make corners uncomfortable really quickly. And that tied into the routes where, yeah, he's so good at stressing corners with his acceleration. He's also just good, like you were saying. I love that you called it out. You don't really know where he's going to go, and that makes his routes all the better. The one thing I want to see him improve is just to add like a little bit of tempo in there. Add that second speed. You know what I mean? You don't always have to be going with your hair on fire, you know. And if he does that, adds a little bit more nuance, a couple more fakes, this could be a really special route runner in the league. Like he's a 3-level stressor. There's not a lot of guys in this class, at least to this point, where you could say that teams have to worry about him on all 3 levels, and he's that kind of guy. I saw what you saw with the release stuff as well. Really, I thought he was really small. I thought he was smaller on tape than he weighed into the combine. He's 6 foot 196, 9.5-inch hands, 31-inch arms. Like I had him pegged at like 5'11", 185, like closer to Zachariah Branch. So I don't know, because I don't think he ran that much. I don't think he ran many of the drills at the combine. I'm not sure what that means for his evaluation if he just put on weight. I definitely didn't think he was 6 feet. You can't fake that at the very least. So that definitely knocks him up a little bit, but all that stuff was really well. The after the catch stuff was great. But again, same thing with you. It's just the catching brings me down to a true 2. I love the player, but if you can't catch the football in the NFL, you're not going to play. It's that simple. And here comes my comp for him, which it's going to sound really bad. And it is really bad. It worries me like hell. He plays a lot like Kadarius Toney. Like a lot.
No. Oh
I know.
no.
But you see it though, right?
Yeah, I can. Well, separate Kadarius Toney, the football player, from Kadarius Toney, the guy, and
Yeah.
okay, now I'm seeing it a little bit more.
He's not
Yeah,
Kadarius
yeah.
Toney off the field. You got that. So that raises his floor. All right. Well, it seems like a good dude off the field. All right. I mean, obviously we don't know, but I haven't heard anything about him off the field. But the drop rate, like Kadarius Toney, for all of his credit, was a tremendous route runner, and like especially that short, and he had great short area athleticism, and he fought through contact, but he dropped the ball a lot, and just that was the problem. He dropped the ball a lot, couldn't fight through contact over the middle of the field, and it just wasn't inexplicable. And then obviously the off the field stuff caught up to him. So that's why I like to remind people that Kadarius Toney, before the off the field stuff, really, I think the off the field stuff was really the thing that kicked him off NFL fields. Like he was still a decent wide receiver 4-3 type before he was out of the NFL. I think that's Concepcion's floor if he just can't hang on to the football because of his athleticism. But it's all going to depend. It's just he's got really poor catching technique, like you were talking about with Brazel. It just seems like that ball, it's bobbled a lot. He's catching the back half of it rather than the front half of it. He jumps a lot. Like when he's on the move, he's almost always going to jump for the football. He's going to do that Zachariah Branch thing where he's going to jump and catch it with his body, and that's going to stall his progress and make him less effective after the catch. A lot of bobbles. There are a few concentration drops, stuff like that, and his hands just doesn't really look like he's particularly comfortable catching the ball. This is a true junior, though. There's a lot of room for improvement, but there's a lot of time to improve. He's 21. He hasn't been on NFL fields that long, and I feel like it's gotten better as he's been in, so I have a lot of faith he's going to be good in the league. I just wouldn't take him in the first round because I don't think he's got that elite. I don't think he's got enough size or catching ability to really consider him, despite the athleticism and the route running, in the first round. In this class, maybe he sneaks in our mock.
I'm with you there on him being a day 2 type of player. I don't think that this is a guy with an extremely high ceiling, but I do think he's going to be very practical at the pro level. And I'm not going to lie, I do think that the hands will get better.
I do too. I don't think he'll be Kadarius Toney, that level of play. I think he'll get better, but like right now, he really does remind me a lot of Kadarius Toney. All right. Um, where do we want to go next?
Probably Omar Cooper, I would think.
Okay. Omar Cooper was my number 4 wide receiver, and he was the only guy in this class that got a 1 through 2 for me. Bernard was my number 5, and he was a true 2. So Cooper and the top 3 guys all got true 1s. So none of them were in this tier with Cooper. So he's kind of alone here. Cooper's a tough watch because obviously I watched him at the same time as I watched Elijah Surratt. So you're watching him and you're watching a guy who's not the best wide receiver on his team, and he's the better prospect when you dive into it. He got the highest run after catch grade of anybody in this class. I assume you saw that too. Just tremendous. Not really any. Most guys just couldn't touch him, and if they could, he just shrugged them off and kept running. Um, it's kind of like that's like a special elite NFL trait. Like that's a trait that separates you from the rest of the bunch. That is a winning trait. Like we love to talk about on this channel. We love to talk about winning traits. What is the thing that you do that's going to separate you from the other guys in that tier? What's the thing that you're going to win with in the NFL? And a lot of it is just going to be get the ball in his hands and let him take care of the rest. Sees the lanes really well. I mean, he looks like if you're a big Spider-Man fan, he looks like the Rhino plowing through helpless Spider-Man brutes. Right? He's evading tackles really well. Overall, just a tremendous receiver after the catch. That will be something that sticks in the NFL. That gives him a decent floor, and that just makes him a player, right? Every athletic box is checked for him. There's no concerns there. The size is good enough. I think he's came in like 6'1", 6'204", 6'4", 199 at the combine. So that's fine enough. And he looks bigger on tape, honestly. He's really he drew Deebo Samuel comps. I don't think he's quite as big as Deebo Samuel is, but I can see why they drew that comp. They're similarly they've got a wide base, both of them. As a route runner, the people that have him as like a true 1, that have him in the top 20, going really high, they see him as a better route runner than I do. I thought he had flashes of great route running, and I thought there were a lot of flashes of great route running. I just didn't see it all the time, and that's why I had the 1 through 2 on him. Everything with him, I saw a lot of great stuff, and a lot of it happened a lot. It just wasn't really as consistent as the guys in the first round, and that's what I think separated those guys with Cooper. But there were plenty of things where he was just able to threaten the cushion, use those head fakes, those trick steps, rocker steps, all of that to open his hips, and he's great agility, so he can make those cuts seamlessly and just send defenders flying. One thing I did love about his route running is his use of tempo, really approaching corners, making them a little bit unsure, forcing them to change their leverage, and really allowing him to win. But again, he was able to just win with his athleticism very well. He's not going to be able to do that in the NFL as much, but I still think he is going to be able to do it because his agility and change of direction is that good. Also has the potential to be a good contested catch guy in the league. He can jump out of the gym and he can high point that ball. He's got strong hands. He can take a hit, get right back up. He runs slants in a way that would make Michael Irvin proud. You know what I mean? Run that slant or go back to the ghetto. He's going to run that slant. You know what I mean? So good catcher of the ball. I mean, there's just a lot of things he does really well, and he's got a winning trait in his run after the catch. There's a lot of stuff to improve. He struggled to deal with contact when he faced it. That was a major note I had against him, and he's never produced much in college. A lot of traits. I wanted to see them more translate into actual college yards. I wanted to see them translate into actual college wins. They didn't as much. That's why he's a 1 through 2. But I do think he's going to be a really good wide receiver in the NFL. I think he's got Deebo Samuel comps. That makes sense. He's got CeeDee Lamb comps. That makes sense to me. I don't think there's any one player he's a lot like just because he's somewhat of an unfinished product. But I have a lot of faith he will become a finished product one day, and that's why he's coming in at number 4 on my list.
I think that this player is a bona fide NFL starter, and I think where that starts is with his route running. However, I'm kind of with you that he is not this elite every phase sort of route runner. He has one trait that I thought was really unique. So his yards per route run metrics, they really stand out against zone coverage. And I started thinking, Well, why is that? Why is he so especially efficient against zone? A lot of guys who are really good against zone, you watch the tape, and what actually happened is they benefited from a few coverage busts, and that
Sorry.
arbitrarily ran up their total. And that is not the case per se with Omar Cooper. He's not just getting you chunks against zone by sitting down in the right spots and being consistently available. He's actually manipulating defenders out of position using that tempo that you talked about and using those very coordinated jab steps to threaten guys, bring them out of their area, and then replace them. And Fernando Mendoza was just on the same page as this guy at all times. And look, watching Omar Cooper actually it kind of made me higher on Fernando Mendoza with some of the tapes that I watched. It's like, okay, maybe his processing is a little better than I was giving him credit for because the ball was coming out on time and Cooper was consistently able to capitalize on that. You mentioned what he does after the catch. He is incredibly fun because much like a Debo Samuel, he's just out of control. Like half of his reps end up with him in a position where it's like, oh God, please don't hurt yourself. Like, please don't get the back of your neck speared by the safety crashing downhill because he's just careening 8 yards upfield. He's spinning, he's stiff arming guys, he's running through guys. He just plays so low to the ground. I swear he always has his left hand on the ground, which it's just a very fun style to watch. And he is a good catcher of the football as well. I don't know how much of a hands catcher he is, but I
You
don't
see
think he's
him?
bad in that phase.
Do you see him make that one-handed catch against Oregon?
That was absolutely insane. Now, like, that's kind of a
I'll
different
put it
boat
on
because
screen right
that's
now.
Football games. This one's a little high, and what a grab. The one-hander by Cooper.
it's like a one-handed stab, but like
It's a hand
credit
catch.
where credit is due. That was absolutely wild. What I've kind of realized watching wide receivers this year is that I kind of see three catching styles. You have the guys that this is more of a theme in the top 3 to 4 players will get to this where they are true hands catchers. It's like outside the frame, it doesn't matter where the ball is. They're just very comfortable using all kinds of different hand shapes to spear it a couple feet off the body. You have your true body catchers, like we talked about with Zachariah Branch, where it's like the ball has to hit you somewhere, and then you trap it like this. And then you have sort of the in between guys that are more comfortable with their hands close to their body. And it's kind of grab and then pin immediately, or maybe you're catching the ball with your bicep and quickly pinning it inside.
Yep.
And I'm very okay with that. And that's how Omar Cooper catches the ball. I don't think that limits you nearly as much as being a true body catcher. So this is a guy with reliable hands. What I'm a little concerned about is I'm lower on his change of direction than you are. I think it's fine. I think it's above average. I don't think Omar Cooper was really a polished 3 level threat at Indiana. It was a lot of run straight up the field, and it was a lot of take a bubble screen or take a now screen. And I want to see a more diversified route tree for this guy at the next level. I know it's in the tank because I've seen him run double moves. He has the instincts. It's just a matter of putting it all together and becoming that full 3 level wide receiver, can catch the ball open, can catch the ball in traffic that I think he can be in the pros. So
Definitely. This is a guy that I don't. He's kind of the polar, not the polar opposite of Surratt, but he's different than Surratt in that way. It's like Surratt, you're taking him because of what he's done in college, and you have faith that a lot of that will translate. You're taking Cooper because of what he could have done in college, and you believe you can make him do that in the NFL. So I think that's a big reason. I think there's a real chance he does end up in the first round in this draft. He's trending that way right now. He's been a massive riser throughout the process, and in our mock, I'm sure I'll find a way to get him into the first round if he's my number 4 receiver. Because I'm guessing all 3 of the top receivers are going to go relatively quickly, but just a really good projection. One of those guys that, yeah, he's a little bit unsafe because if he stays the same player he is right now, he's still got a floor, but if you're taking him in the first round, it's a lower floor than you'd like, I think. Because I don't think his ceiling is like his ceiling is CeeDee Lamb, right? Like he could be CeeDee Lamb, I think, but I don't think he could be like this super. I don't think he'd be a top 3 receiver in the league. I think you'd agree with me. CeeDee Lamb isn't a top 3 receiver in the league, but he can be close to that, right? And that's you'll take that, of course. Oh, you just get CeeDee Lamb. That's no problem with me. So Cooper is more of a projection than Surratt is, but it's a projection I think a lot of people feel comfortable in making, and that's why he's trending upwards. Plus, one thing I didn't mention, he played a lot of slot this year, but he played a lot of outside receiver in previous years, so he can play anywhere on the field. That is a massive plus for him. Not a lot of guys in this class can really excel and have shown they can excel in both roles.
I agree with that. I did watch some of his 24 tape, so it was good to see him on the outside.
All right. Do you want to talk about Denzel Boston?
I think it is Denzel Boston time. So he is still consensus wide receiver 4, right?
Yes.
He actually pleasantly surprised me. This is my second time watching Denzel Boston since we had that midseason mock draft. Had to get some tape in there, and I was not comfortable taking him in the first round when we did our midseason mock. And to be perfectly honest with you, I'm kind of lower on this group of guys from about number 4 to about number 7, and I still would not take Denzel Boston in the first round because I think he has a fundamental limitation that I'll get into. But I did find his play style to be a lot more endearing on second watch. First of all, I think he's an okay athlete. So he gets this reputation as being a pure contested catch guy. And there's starting to be a stigma around taking contested catch guys in the first round. And I get that because there have been a lot of bad ones. But the reason I have Denzel Boston here and I had Elijah Surratt and Jacoby Lane and Malachi Fields there is in large part because I do think Denzel Boston is a better athlete. One trait I can't stand in wide receivers, guys like Traylon Burks and Keon Coleman in the past really freaked me out is they just were sluggish off the line. They did not feel like they were moving powerfully until they were 10, 15 yards downfield. Great, you can run 3, 4 different routes with that. Denzel Boston, I do think is under control and powerful and can run the full route tree with his degree of agility and foot speed and athleticism. So I think he has a decent baseline in that way. But what I really like about him, I just think that this is an incredibly polished possession axe receiver. There are guys that are really good against zone in this class. I think Denzel Boston is absolutely one of them. Getting into zone windows quickly and then battling back through them, processing things intentionally and early and sort of manipulating zone defenders with tempo. I like that a lot. He is incredibly QB friendly. You can throw him the ball on the sidelines, he'll make a play. You can throw him the ball in scramble drill, he'll make a play. You can throw him the ball on third down. He will run a super precise route right at the sticks. He's going to get tackled and he's either going to just barrel forward and get just enough and get over the sticks, or he's going to get tackled and he's going to reach the ball and he's going to move the chains that way. So I think he's an incredibly QB friendly player. And I do think he has really good hands. This is a fantastic class of just like pure pass catching wide receivers. All the top 3 guys we're going to talk about are pretty insane in that regard. So out of the 4 guys we have left, Denzel Boston might be the worst. I still think that he has fantastic hands all around. And yeah, he is something like an alpha at the catch point with outstanding verticality. So I want to hear your take on him. I do have concerns about his ability to win down the field. There's one thing I want to mention later, but what did you think about Denzel Boston?
Yeah, he pleasantly, I don't know. He surprised me because, like you, I watched him over mid-season and I did not like him at all, and I liked him a little bit more when I came back to the tape, just because I got something different than what I was expecting. Like you were saying, he's an average athlete, even for his size, but I thought his speed was decent enough. Like he was able to get there and threaten the cushion of a corner at a decent enough rate for me. It's like 6'4", 212. Like that's fine enough. And I thought he really good, like one cut agility, how well you're just able to cut once, right? We'll talk about that with another guy in the top 3, how important that is to a route runner who is somewhat bigger, but he's really bad at like taking at hard cuts, slowing down and getting and speeding up again. He's really bad at that. He's just an uninspiring route runner in all phases because of that. The comebacks, like hard digs, hitches, like things like that. It just didn't look very good, and it's going to keep him from being a good route runner. But when it comes to like soft digs, he's good enough. Skinny posts, good enough posts. He was solid. Like he was making those cuts, and he was able to keep his speed really well through it. I like most of what you said. I think you did a really good job of laying out his strengths. I won't talk much more about that. But for me, I have a true 2 on him. And it leans a lot closer to a 2 through 3. He's my number 8 receiver. I just don't see his projection in the league because he's 6'4", 212, and he is a athlete. He's this alpha at the contested catch point that gives him a certain floor. I absolutely agree with you on all of that. No issues with that. It's just I don't think he can play X yet because his release package is just awful. He's just terrible off the line. It's just bad. Any decent press corner, no matter how big or small, is just going to out physical him. I don't get how he's going to be an NFL player unless he gets free releases on most downs. Like he just can't do it. And then further into the route, he still is just going to get knocked off course by physical corners. And you're 210 pounds, 6'4". I don't understand why it's happening. He's a little bit slender, so I kind of get it, but it should not be happening. I don't really know why it is. He can't play X day one. He just can't do it. So there's the idea of, okay, let's move him, play power slot. Let's take advantage of that ability to find the zones. A good catcher of the football. He's going to be able to make those tough catches. He's decent after the catch too. Like, that's a decent idea, but his best ability is the contested catch ability, and you're not making the most out of that unless he's an outside receiver. So that kind of makes it a little bit of a tough evaluation for me as where do you want to put him in the league, because he just can't play X right now. Any decent team is just going to play is just going to put their best press or decent press corner on him in Meg on that side of the field, and that's going to be that for the route for him. They're just going to stick with him in his hip pocket the entire way. He's going to be so far off timing, and he doesn't have the athleticism to recover from that. Like the short area stuff is just not good enough to recover from being roughed up at the line. So I'd be curious to see how you project him. How do you think that he deals with that release in the NFL? Because I'll be honest, I don't have an answer. That's why I can't give you a hard line grade. I've gone back and forth between 2 and 2 through 3. He's been my number 6 receiver in the class. He's been my number 9 receiver in the class. I settled on him with my number 8. I just don't see a good projection for him. I've been thinking about it for the last month, and I still haven't found anything. I mean, there are decent projections. I just don't see the thing that makes the most out of his ability unless he can improve that release package, and I didn't see anything that proved that he could.
So earlier I called him an X, and I'm really glad that you called this out because we completely agree about the release package. So I have 4 traits for overall release ability. He was the worst in just the depth of his arsenal with a D grade. I thought that was really rough. He does get out physicaled in situations where he just shouldn't. He doesn't really have the foot speed to significantly develop in that way. So I think you're right. I don't think this is a conventional type of X receiver. But I think I am higher on the damage that he can do from the slot, in large part because playing him in the slot mitigates what I think another one of his big weaknesses is, which he was the guy earlier where I think he's really bad at catching the ball over the shoulder. He has something
Sure.
like let me actually pull up the stat that I have
Yeah, the
here.
ball. Yeah.
13 of 41 on career deep targets, which, as like a contested catch oriented player who has made a lot of his money winning 20+ yard contested catches up the boundary, that is a really poor ratio because like of that 13, not a lot of those are actual over the shoulder grabs. It's you got turned around the back shoulder and made that type of play. He had a lot of drops. I just don't think he tracks the ball very well down the field. And so I do think that aligns better with him being in the slot. And I think the slot is closest to I think the slot is the position closest to the quarterback. That is where you can use those very QB friendly traits that I think he has an abundance of. I think that's a good place for him to develop the physicality that I do think that he can learn. I mean, it's not like he's 180 pounds or anything like that. There are flashes of it. So probably not a conventional projection for Denzel Boston, but our slot may very well be the way to go. And that may very well be how he returns value as a top 50 type of player. Because I'm with you. I'm not taking him in the first round either.
I mean, I can definitely see that. Like, you play him at slot year 1, maybe year 2, and then you try and move him out to X in year 3. I like that a lot. I don't know why I didn't think of it. I'm an idiot, but that's a good idea. And I think that's what a team probably will do because I do think he can do a lot of damage from the slot. I still do worry about him as an overall route runner and just making those hard cuts in the league. I don't think he has this great ceiling, but maybe become like a T. Higgins type player. Like that is probably his absolute ceiling. You could see that. I don't think they're a 1-for-1 comp, but like that style of playing the game and that what he brings to an NFL offense, Boston could become that, I think.
That's a very good high comp. I like that a lot.
All right. Let's see. What do we have left? Is it just I believe it's just Jeremy Bernard.
Yes, I think you're right.
All right. I'll talk about him real quick and we'll get to the top three. Because Bernard, it's not very complicated it's not a particularly complicated evaluation. I think he is either I think he's either the 28th best wide receiver two, or he's the second best wide receiver two in the NFL. That is his range of outcomes, and we'll just see where he ends up. Because this is just an ultra safe guy who I'm going to take in 30 through 50 range and just feel set at wide receiver two, hopefully for as long as I can get him. Athletic traits all check out. There's the thing you got to know about Jeremy Bernard. He doesn't do anything bad. Like, there's nothing. I don't think he's the best at contested catches, and not great at dealing with physicality. Those are things that I think will improve because they have improved every year at Alabama, but still he's not great at it. He doesn't do anything better than anybody else. That's what you have written down. Not many bad traits, no winning trait, right? The athleticism is very good. It's not great. It's not elite. There's nothing like that. There's no technical aspect of his game that rises above good in the NFL, though. He's going to be good at a lot of things in the NFL. Apart from, okay, he's a fantastic hands catcher. When it comes to just hands consistent, he just doesn't drop the football. He has tremendous technique. There's nothing like it there's a lot. He's up there with the best of them. No concerns about him as dropping the football. Again, you're going to be a great receiver too. You got to catch the football. Bernard's got no problems there. As a route runner, he's very nice. He's very disciplined, similar to how I talked about with Zachariah Branch. He's very disciplined. Not a lot of nuance or fakes in there yet, but I think it could come. He uses tempo incredibly well, though. Like, this is a guy, you don't really know what he's doing. He's trying to sell you different things with that tempo, and he really does succeed with it a lot. Defenders can't really do anything with him. He snaps and peels on medium routes really well. He's just a great safety net for a quarterback. This is a very specific trait, but if you watch him, you'll know what I mean. Is on the sideline, there's nobody who has who's better at getting the feet in bounds than Bernard. And that's an NFL trait too. You got to get both feet in bounds. He just has an uncanny awareness. There was one play, he's flying full speed across the field. Simpson delivers it in the bucket, but he has to somehow manage to drag both feet while going full speed to catch up to that ball, and he gets it in. He's always going to get the feet in. As I said, good route runner. He's just smooth. He moves like an NFL receiver. You watch the tape, he's savvy. He can sit in zone. He's going to find the right spot. He's really strong, which gives me a lot of hope for him developing against physicality and press coverage. He's really strong. He's tough to bring down after the catch, and he's not very elusive, but he doesn't need to be because he is the best ball carrier vision of anybody we've talked about yet. He finds the open lane. Like you were talking about with Branch, he's just comfortable. He makes the right move every single time. He can kill from the outside or inside. Like, there are so many amazing things about Jeremy Bernard. If I'm a GM, I'm losing no sleep over him. It's just about how high do you take a guy like him? A guy who can do everything well, nothing very at an elite level, though. He's not going to lose your job. He's going to be a good wide receiver two for you. I don't know how good of a wide receiver two he's going to be. It's just going to depend on, I think he ran a 4.49 at the combine. I was a little bit uncertain on how well his speed translates. We'll see. And if he can improve that contested catch physicality thing, if he can improve those and really maximize that speed, because I feel like there's room there, he could be like a really, really amazing wide receiver two on the team. Maybe even a lower end wide receiver one. If he can't, then he's still just a solid wide receiver two, but probably more like a great wide receiver three, or a wide receiver two that you'd like to make a wide receiver three one day. So that's Jeremy Bernard. Really safe prospect, a guy that I loved watching the tape. There's just not much wrong with him.
Checking out his PFF numbers, in his entire career, he has 4 drops for a 2.5% career drop rate. Yep. The hands at the top of this class are absolutely insane. It's like, between our top 5 guys, probably like 10 career drops. Wild.
That's insane. And yeah, I was talking about speed. Just remember, athleticism isn't just all in one bucket. His speed is not elite, but like the agility, change of direction, all that stuff, it's not elite, but it's really good. So there are no worries there.
And that's the separation stuff too. This is probably a take you share. It's like the agility, the acceleration, just the ability to get open. That is more important than like hitting one extra home run a year. That is the down stuff and what keeps you ahead of the chains.
I agree with you because I mean, and that's what I valued a little bit more in training my model this year and watching tape is how agile are you and how does that translate? Because you can be super agile and not be able to separate, but how does that translate into your separation? There's a guy who does that very well. We're going to talk about here in a second. You know who I'm talking about. But you look at the top guys in the league: JSN, Puka Nacua, Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase. The only guy who is just as fast as he is agile as Jamar Chase, and Jamar Chase is really damn agile. JSN makes his money off of just being more nimble, having better foot speed, and just being able to change directions at a snap of a finger. He's not the fastest guy in the world. Puka, not the fastest guy in the world, but again, he's just able to get free and use those hips, open him up in such an in such a way that the corners just don't know what he's doing. And all of that is due to agility and change of direction, not necessarily that elite speed. Speed helps. You're never going to say no to an elite speed trait on top of all of these other things, because Jamar Chase's 4.3 speed definitely gotten him a few extra touchdowns in his time. But agility, that lateral athleticism, short area bursts kind of stuff, that's just as important, probably a lot more important if we're being honest, for receivers.
Even if you only have like 4 out of 10 deep speed, if you are explosive and you are smooth, the touchdowns are going to come regardless.
And that's kind of what we're talking about with Bernard. It's more like 5.5, 6 deep speed, but that's kind of the conversation with Bernard. And I think that's why he is a little bit lower on the consensus board than I have him. The speed has, some people are concerned, and I think some people just don't see him as good in every trait as I do, but it's all right. I think he's the guy I was highest on compared to consensus, because he is my number 5, and I came really close to giving him a 1 through 2. So he's probably the guy I was highest on. I think he was. I don't think there was anybody else. Yeah, I think he was.
Because you were lower than consensus on Chris Brazzell. You're dude.
I like Chris Brazzell, though. I want to make that noted. No, I'm doing it now. I think we got nobody else. We've got the top 3. We've got Josh Cameron, Caleb Douglas, and Kevin Coleman. The consensus top 3.
I do have Josh Cameron. I actually have Trevor Pena and Will Pauling.
Ooh, deep cuts. There we go. No Deshaun Stribling?
No, he just missed. He was 13 for me.
Yeah, you know what, it happens. All right, top 3. It's about what order do you have them in? I'll go first. Number 3, I got Mekhi Lemon out of USC. Number 2, I got Carnell Tate out of Ohio State. And number 1, I got Jordan Tyson out of Arizona State.
I've got Tyson, Tate, Lemon.
You got Lemon 1. Lemon surpassed the number 1 overall pick in the BallsTalkSports midseason mock draft.
I cannot wait for the Carnell Tate conversation.
Oh, man. Well, we have them in the same spot, so you know what? It might not be that different. All right. So this is kind of nobody has. What do we want to do first?
Why don't we talk about Carnell Tate right now?
That makes sense. Let's just do that real quick. You love Carnell Tate, so I'm going to let you open with this one.
Okay, so yes, during the midseason mock draft, in our what do we want to call it? The cut version?
Yeah.
The director's cut. In the director's cut, I did take Carnell Tate number 1 overall. And then Victor wisely talked me out of it. I think like something with the technology went wrong, right? And
yeah, I think it was.
To reconsider, and wound up taking Ruben Bain number 1 overall. But
I still think Tate went like 5 though.
Which I think was justifiable, because Carnell Tate has maybe, out of everybody in this class, there are some nice strong link traits in this class, but I think Tate might have the best one. His hands are just fucking impeccable.
Yeah.
The way he catches the ball is different. I mean, I was talking about being a hands catcher with just premium comfort, catching the ball with different shapes. That is Carnell Tate. It's like, you got to be able to catch diamond technique. You have to be able to catch palms down. You have to be able to extend and stop the ball with one hand and get the other hand underneath. You have to be comfortable with a hand on top and a hand on the bottom when you're working up the seams. and that is Carnell Tate. He does it with ridiculous hand strength as well. So he catches this ball way outside his frame, and then he's getting yanked to the ground. He's finding a way to keep that ball with him. He is focused, eyes are on the entire time, so he's not dropping balls he doesn't need to drop, that he's too good to drop. No, he doesn't drop anything at all. He had 0 drops this last season. It is not a part of his game, but then he takes it to the next level because he's not just making the easy catches. He is making full extension grabs at the catch point with pristine body control, and his sideline awareness is absolutely phenomenal. This is a class full of guys that have excellent sideline awareness. Carnell Tate might be the best one. That is like my foundation as a wide receiver evaluator. I want guys that just look great catching the ball. And that is absolutely Carnell Tate. However, why I came way lower on him and why he's my wide receiver 2 and not my wide receiver 1, I realized he's not really good at any of the football stuff that is not catching.
Yeah.
I think he's a good athlete, and his combine didn't really bear that out. What did he run, like a 4.53?
4.52, yeah.
He's faster than that. I'm just going to say it. He's
Absolutely.
faster than that. I don't think he practiced for this.
No.
Which is what is concerning because he needs to get better at stuff at the next level. He is tipping his brakes. He is jogging routes where he is not the number 1 guy in the progression. He is not attacking blind spots. This is the NFL. He's a really good athlete. I think he's about an 8 out of 10 athlete. You know who else is an 8 out of 10 college athlete? Everybody that plays defensive back in the NFL. He's not going to be able to win with just that. He's going to need to add a new dimension to his game. And it's just, is he going to do it? Is he just going to be a really high-end wide receiver 2 with impeccable hands, or you feel pretty good throwing the ball up to? Or is he going to be an alpha? Because I think this is a player that can be an all-pro. It's just about a development track with him. Now I want to hear your take on Carnell Tate. That is my spiel.
I mean, I agree with you. I think I see him incredibly similarly because I think this is a guy that hands consistency, that ability to catch the football no matter what, gives him, and combined with the athleticism, gives him a Devontae Adams level ceiling. Like, this guy can do elite things in the NFL. I agree with you. I said earlier there was a guy in the top that we're going to talk about later that proves the combine speed is bullshit. That's bullshit. He's incredibly fast. He's very quick. Light on his feet. You did an incredible job breaking down his catching. I have nothing more to say there other than the fact that he had an 85% contested catch rate this year. So, all right, dude. Like, you know, you're already the best catcher in the ball. You're already the best catcher in this draft class. You can't leave contested catching to somebody else. No. I'm still gonna put my nuts on you and catch this ball no matter what. So, not only does he have that good deep speed, but it's also he's just able to stride it out. Like, he just gets into his stride so well, and that allows him to threaten vertically a lot better than a lot of guys who are shorter, but technically faster, but they're not really. They look faster, but they're not faster because Tate is just covering more ground. He's got great one-cut agility, and preserves his speed really well. I don't think he's a great route runner over the middle of the field, and that's my big concern with him. But where he did show up really well was just on those one-cut dig routes, on those one-cut skinny posts over the middle of the field. He was so good at keeping his speed through that and making it really tough for the corner to keep up with him. And I did think he showed flashes of the route running. I do think that there's a chance that improves. Like, I think there's a chance that improves. I got a true 1 on him. And another thing that was so good is, like, yeah, you have some concerns against man. I have no concerns against zone. This guy understands space. He understands coverages better than anybody in this class. He's just able to dissect the weaknesses of a defense and attack them right there. He's going to attack the blind spots of a corner. He's going to run option routes really well. He's going to stack corners early into the route and get them to open their hips and then make that cut. Right? He's going to attack their blind spots. Like, I think I just said that. Like, there is a lot of good stuff here. And I don't think he does all of it really consistently. And against man coverage, he struggles sometimes, but against zone coverage, he's really good at getting open and being a QB's best friend. And that's when it comes into catching the football in these tight windows. Nobody better than him in that. Also, we were talking about, like, best blocker in this class. I think it's Tate. Like, this guy just drives people off of the ball elite physicality. It's like he puts a lot more effort into blocking than he does like running routes sometimes, which is really confusing because a lot of the times receivers just don't give a shit about blocking. Tate, it's pretty clearly personal with him. He's going to go out and attack guys. I love that about his game. But when it comes to being a true X, a number one at the NFL level, first of all, we've never seen him do it. He's never been the number one receiver on his team. Now, he played at Ohio State. It's not an easy place to be the wide receiver one on a team, but he never did it, so I have to mention it. Can he operate with all of the defense's attention on him at the NFL level? That's something. The release package was fine. It was good enough at the college level. I don't think it's going to be good enough at the NFL level. He needs to improve that. Doesn't really show much proficiency. Like, he's got a decently deep bag, but he doesn't really show much proficiency at any one move. So I really want to see him improve that. And really what concerned me is just, can he consistently beat man coverage with his route running? Can he add that nuance? Can he add those head fakes? Can he add more tempo to his routes? Can he do all of that stuff that NFL route runners do to get open on a consistent basis that number one guys have to be able to do? I didn't see it at Ohio State. I think I hope that we will see it, and that's why I have the true one on him, because all of those other elite traits that he has, those winning traits that we'd love to talk about, can be fully brought out, and he can really maximize his ceiling if he can. But if he can't, he's still got a great floor. No reason that you're upset with a great wide receiver two, and I think that's honestly his floor. It's just a really solid wide receiver two, if not a great wide receiver two. Can he improve the route running? Can he improve the physicality? Can he improve the releases? Those are my questions. We'll see if he can.
Totally agree. I mean, Tate is just going to be a damn good football player. It's like, if he doesn't get better at all, you have a guy who just throw the ball to his vicinity 5 or 6 times a game, and he'll catch the ball 5 or 6 times a game for you. If he does get better at this stuff, his athleticism is not going to hold him back to any capacity. He is one of the best athletes in, I think, every phase: explosiveness, acceleration, long speed that we have talked about today. This guy truly is the limit with Cardinal Tate.
I absolutely agree.
Now, you want to talk about your number one?
Yeah, Jordan Tyson is my number one receiver. He is a top 10 talent for me. If we're just going based off of talent, he gets the top 10 grade. The injuries brought me down to a true one, and they nearly brought me, like, him and Tate were incredibly close. I had Tate as my wide receiver one until a couple of days ago, and I switched it. Levin was the clear 3 for me, so obviously you'll talk about him in a second. I also have a true one on Levin, though, so I love him. But Jordan Tyson, when you watch him, you're watching an NFL receiver. He does the NFL stuff. There's nobody who moves better. There's nobody who moves more like an NFL receiver. There's nobody who moves better than him in this class. The way that he attacks, I think he's probably the best route runner in this class as far as just separation ability and getting open. I don't think there was anybody better. He was just able to attack. He attacks corners, blind spots so well. Like, it's like he's stabbing them with a dagger right through the heart, and then makes that hard turn. And there's nothing they can really do about it because he's got all those athletic tools. I thought the speed was good, not great, but the agility, the change of direction, all of that stuff when it came to separating, all of that was on point. He had the head fakes, the body fakes, the little route nuances that make NFL route runners the best they can possibly be. All of that was all over the tape. The best route runners we've talked about today were either they were great technicians, but they weren't the best athletes, or yes, they had so many great route running plays, but there were also a lot of plays. Tyson, never. There really weren't many reps off. There weren't many reps where he just wasn't showing that route running ability. It just kind of showed up all the time. And that's what you want from a guy you're taking in the first round. This is another guy who I think you could play anywhere on the field and he's just going to dice you up. Like, the route running, the smoothness, the ability to just beat guys, that doesn't really stop in the slot. That doesn't stop at the Z or the X. He can play everywhere and he can beat you anywhere. I don't think he's the best catcher of the football. You were talking about, like, oh, these top 3 guys are some of the best hands in the class. His hands consistency somewhat worries me. The drops have come down significantly. He's gotten a lot better. It's still not completely there. There are a lot more bobbles. Like, I think he only had like 1 drop or 2 drops this past year. It should have been more. It should have been a lot more. I was surprised it wasn't. But it keeps getting better, and I have belief that it will get better in the league. However, as a contested catcher, no complaints there. I mean, this guy high points the ball with the best of them. He's incredibly physical and like he's competitive in a way that most guys in this class just aren't for the ball. Like there are better contested catchers than him. Nobody wants to take that ball from the corner more than Tyson does. If you're like, he's just going to snatch that ball out. He can jump out of the gym. Like this is an incredible athlete, incredible mover. Body control is just elite. Like he just can contort his body and make those plays. So you've got this guy, a great route runner, can make those tough catches. Why is he not a top 10, top 5 pick consensus? Well, the strength overall isn't elite, so sometimes he'll get redirected by physicality. I don't think the speed is enough to really threaten at the wide receiver 1 level like that. You want elite speed from that guy. It's not. Of course, you don't need it. We just talked about it, but you would have liked it. And he has just been plagued with injuries throughout his entire career. He missed games in every single college season he played. He had a knee injury in 2022, a collarbone injury in 2024, and multiple hamstring injuries that plagued him throughout the year. I kept him wide receiver 1 because those injuries were not the same injury. And that is what ultimately kept me like, maybe he's just had bad luck, you know? Sometimes the guys just have bad luck. If they're not this, if you got a hamstring injury every single year of your career, I'm dropping you multiple rounds because you're not going to stay on the field. Collarbone injury, knee injury, and a hamstring injury, those are different things. And all of those happen. It seems like all of those happen on different things that aren't necessarily replicable. Maybe he's injury prone, or maybe he just got a little bit unlucky throughout his career. Maybe Arizona State has a bad strength staff. I don't know. Maybe he just wants it more than everybody else does, which means he's going to get injured more. I want that guy on my team. So that's my spiel on Jordan Tyson. I'll let you talk about him from here, but there are so many great things about him. But ultimately, when you watch him, I just think he is the best NFL receiver of anybody in this class, and that's why he's my number 1.
We view him very similarly. You know, out of anybody on the list, I think you said like this exact thing. He might just be the best pro, the most pro of all of these future pros. It's like he's available in scramble drill. He's consistently working back toward the quarterback and maximizing his size to box guys out. He runs precise marks where he is urgent getting to his landmarks. His routes are just, I don't want to say they're maxed out because, I mean, it's extremely rare that a prospect is truly maxed out as a route runner coming out, but it has the jabs and the head fakes and the hesitations and all the little moves. And so you know that his mind is with his craft in that way as well, and that he wants to keep getting better. I love the release package with him as well. I mean, he likes to go to a hop release. He's got a nice split release as well. That's release is one you got to be good at because it just gets you square immediately. You can go left, you can go right, puts you in good position to use your hands. He's got a good single move, he's got a good double move, and then he has variations off of all of them where he is using that understanding of hesitation and he's using his hands well to bat down the defensive back and get out of his get off the line quickly. There are very few things to genuinely complain about with Jordan Tyson. For me, it's about ceiling, and I do have a little bit of a hard time ever viewing him as like a true number 1, as like a top 15 guy in the NFL. I think that he's a pretty average NFL athlete. He's more than fine. He's a 3-level type of wide receiver, I think, but I don't think he's running away from guys very consistently. And I think I'm a little bit lower on his route snap and his foot speed. The phrase that I came back to with him is that his routes are really well rehearsed. There's no wasted movement. It feels like every step is intentional and it's sharpening the routes that are, you know, really like important parts of the play design. The play is drawn up for Jordan Tyson. And a lot of the other concepts, it's like, okay, that took a lot more steps, or he didn't get the hips quite as low and he wasn't able to explode into that dig or into that comeback route. And so for that reason, I don't know if he's ever going to be an elite separator at the NFL level. And then you get into the injury history. And I'm with you there. You would rather he didn't have an injury history, but at least it's not like 4 straight years of hamstring. It's 3 completely isolated events. So that's the reason that he is my number 3 wide receiver in this class, but that is a very nice place to be. I have a true 1 on Jordan Tyson, like a comfortable true 1. So I like him a lot. You can't really poke any holes in his game. I just think that he is rock solid, and he's going to be a decade-long starter.
I agree. And another thing about his game is that this is different than everybody else in the class. He is elite at all three levels as a route runner. Like he can just do it all. He may not be the best deep threat because of his speed. Some people will say I still think he's a great deep threat, but some people will say that. Nobody can deny that he's got the deep route running down to a craft. It's a different thing. Everybody like Surratt, he's a great short and intermediate route runner, I think, but he's not a great deep route runner. There's some guys who are great deep route runners, but they just can't really get that short to intermediate stuff down. Tyson has no issues with it.
There are some guys that are good deep route runners, and they're good short route runners, and they're good intermediate route runners, but they don't know what they're doing in the red zone. He knows what he's doing in the red zone. I think he's best in class at that. It's just all the NFL stuff that you want. Jordan Tyson, I think, is bringing all that to the table.
Underrated thing as well, he does seem like he's got that wide receiver one mentality, which is why I'm a little
Hell
bit more
yeah.
comfortable. Like he's the competitive, the enemy speaks kindly while they hold a knife. He's got that trait to him, and I adore that in a receiver. So he's been my wide receiver one since summer scouting, and why change it? All right, time to talk about your wide receiver
That's
one.
your number one. It's time for me to talk about Mekhi Lemon then. All right. So Mekhi Lemon gets this reputation that like his size is a problem. He came in at 5'11", 192. And I just can't get with his size being a problem because I swear he plays big. He plays
Yeah,
big everywhere. He plays
don't
big
tell
as a
him.
blocker. He plays fucking huge at the line of scrimmage. I think that he messed up the press cornerback more often than anybody in this class. He plays big as a hand fighter. He plays big working toward the back shoulder. This is a really high-end catching traffic type of player. I didn't wind up coming away low on any trait with Mekhi Lemon. I think that he is not an elite athlete, but a very, very good one. He is explosive and he is under control. Being under control is something I gotta have in my wide receivers. He's got the stop-start talent, so he can run every route that you want him to run. He can work short, he can work intermediate, he can work deep, like we were just talking about. But he is very savvy as well. I think that his routes are super uniform. And when your routes are uniform, it has a compounding effect when you know how to use a rocker step and you know how to use a pressure step. So I think he's advanced in that way. I mentioned that he's a fantastic hand fighter, so it's not like you're bogging this guy down throughout his stems. I thought he was an extremely tough cover. And then his hands, I think, are immaculate as well, especially downfield, making the cradle catch with late hands and not giving the DB any chance to make a play
There we
on
go.
that. That is Mekhi Lemon. He is a home run threat. And this is also a guy who has a lot of those pro types of traits. I think that he is urgent getting into zone windows, and I think he looks to extend them and work back toward the quarterback. I think he's effective in scramble drill. I mentioned he plays above his weight class as a blocker. Doesn't matter where on the field you want to put this guy. You want to put him at Z, great. I think that's his most natural habitat. He was used on a lot of motion stuff. You can give him the ball on a jet sweep. Got played at X. He was good there. In the slot, he's fantastic there as well. He's been an effective kick and punt returner. He's gonna dig for first downs. He does everything that you look for, and I didn't find that quality that I thought really limited his upside. Is he going to be quite as vertical as like the Carnell Tates of the world? No, because he's not as tall as them. But he can jump.
That's
He can
true.
jump. You see that on the field. He's not like this tiny catch radius guy. So I couldn't poke any holes in Mekhi Lemon's game. And it to me, it feels like he has a little bit of a stigma that I don't find that he deserves. I do think this is a player with all pro upside. I would like to hear what you think.
I mean, I absolutely agree with most of what you said. I'm going to continue the hype train. I feel like sometimes we talk about guys and then the other guy has to talk a little bit negatively about us. We get both sides. We don't have to hear the bad side about Mekhi Lemon. Mekhi Lemon, I'm sorry, but I have to apologize to Mekhi Lemon because I just said Jordan Tyson was the only guy in this class who could run routes at an elite level at all three levels. I'm wrong. Mekhi Lemon can also do that. This guy's a tremendous route runner. That's my favorite thing about him. He's drawing JSN comps for a reason, and that's because they look identical when they're running routes. In the fact that nobody can tell what the fuck they're trying to do. Like they're just approaching, like you were talking about with that uniformity. Like nobody can really identify what Mekhi Lemon is trying to do when he's approaching them. He's got incredible route nuance. His deceleration is the stuff of legend, like that change of direction ability, that agility, elite stuff. Like that is the stuff that wins in the NFL. That is a winning trait. The reason I had him at number 3 was I was just a little bit lower in his linear athleticism. I thought he was an average, even size adjusted. I thought he was an average athlete when it comes to like burst off the line in short area, like burst and getting off of the line, acceleration, overall speed. I thought that somewhat limited him, and I agree that he plays bigger than he is, but I do think that their corners in the league will be able to kind of stymie him a little bit. They'll be able to make it a little bit tougher of him, just lower his ceiling a little bit down, and I think that comes down to the difference. But other than that, it's like you said, tough to poke holes in this guy's game. He understands defenses. He has the best feel for option routes in this class. When it comes to like reading middle of the field open versus the middle of the field closed, he's always going to make the right read, make himself available. We were talking earlier about that dog, have that dog in you. Can you know you're going to take a hit and then still make that catch, lay out for it anyway? Absolutely. Mekhi Lemon, nobody wants it more than this guy does. There's a play, ball 40 yards down the field. Somebody put it, they put it right in front of him. He has to dive. There's a safety bearing down on him. Most guys don't dive for that ball. You don't have to dive for that ball. It's a really tough, it's an uncatchable ball. You damn right. He doesn't catch it. He dives, he gets his shit rocked, and he gets right back up. I love Mekhi Lemon. He's a tremendous football player, one of the highest floors in the class. I just don't really see how he busts. I think I'm a little bit lower in his release package than you are, and I want to see him just run the route more often. Sometimes he just gets a little fancy with it, right? He'll be a little flowery, and he's just going to get pushed around in the league if he's doing that. But again, small things, not really an issue. I have a true one on him. I think he's going to be great. Just a little lower on his ceiling than I am Tyson or Tate. So that's why I had him lower.
You know, sometimes when I see one of these slightly smaller receivers that just play absolutely fucking psycho, I can't resist.
Yeah,
I mean, what you were talking about with like he lays out and then gets absolutely annihilated. I just want to clarify that seems to happen like once a game to Mekhi
yeah,
Lemon, and maybe I should be lower on him because he's gonna die. But I'm sorry, I can't. He wants it, I think, more than anybody on this list, and this list is not full of soft wide receivers. There are a lot of dudes who want it here.
absolutely. And like you said, if he gets a hand on the ball, which not as often as other guys, doesn't have the biggest catch radius, but if he gets a hand on the ball, he's going to catch it. Not going to drop any balls. He's going to make those one-handers. He's going to go crazy.
This is just a great top 3.
I mean, yeah, we're really, this is a special top 3. No top 10 guy really, but still, people are down on this receiver class. I think they're idiots. You got a great top 3. You got a fantastic group of second round guys. And it looks like you also have a great group of third through fourth round guys that might have a good ceiling or really safe. We haven't gotten into them as much yet, but it looks like you've got a good group of guys there. This has a chance to be maybe the best receiver class in recent memory. Like, you've just got so many chances for receivers to be good. You've got every flavor. You've got the top end talent. You've got the medium stuff. You've got the high risk, high reward guys. You've got the safe players. Like, there are going to be a lot of teams who get big time receivers out of this class. And some people might say, well, there's no guy I really feel like can be the best receiver in the league in this draft. Who's the best receiver in the league? Justin Jefferson? I don't think many people thought that he had the potential to be the best receiver in the league when he was coming out of LSU. I remember him being a lower ceiling, higher floor kind of guy coming out. JSN, people definitely didn't think he was going to be the best receiver in the league. Puka Nacua, no, he went in the 5th round. Nobody thought he was going to be the best receiver in the league. Just because you think that there might not be a best receiver in the league player in this class doesn't mean there is one. When you get to that level, the thing that differentiates you is the competitiveness, the want to keep getting better, and that just natural football ability, that smarts that you can't really tell. You can't really tell from watching the tape, and that's why we have the combine. So a lot of teams are going to figure that out. So the ceiling in this class is great, and the floor in this class is great. Overall, this is a good receiver class, and I'm super excited to see how they turn out in the league.
This feels like the type of class where when we've gone all the way through this process and we've been watching these guys for months, there are always guys that we barely don't have time to get to. And there are going to be like 3 guys that I look back and I say, damn, I wish I could have gotten to him. But now it's on to summer scouting. And then 3 years from now, they're all going to be like the top 30 receivers in the NFL. It's going to be like, God damn it.
Yeah, 3 years
It
from
is
now,
that
the top
kind of
30
deep
receivers in the
class.
NFL. Yeah, 3 years from now, the top 30 receivers in the NFL, 20 of them are going to be from this class.
Everybody
Oh,
that's
man.
drafted, all
Exactly.
Hall of Famers, all Gold
Just
Jackets.
draft a
You
receiver.
heard it here first.
I need it to happen. I need the Broncos. Listen, Omar Cooper to the Broncos at 30 would make my heart sing. Chris Bell, please don't do it. But, I mean, man, just take one of these receivers. George Payton, please just take one of these receivers. You will be rewarded.
This was a fun episode. Oh man, am I tired. We were watching guys, or at least I was watching guys, all the way up to the buzzer for this one. It's been a grind. I feel like I'm on a better schedule now. Can hopefully go into not next week's episode because we're taking a little film sabbatical, right? A sabbatical for film, not of film.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, we're taking a little bit of a sabbatical for film, so we're not going to have an episode for you next week, but 2 weeks from now, we'll have a big, big one, and that will be our first mock draft of draft season. So stay tuned for that. You're going to get 32 picks of just elite ball knowledge, fits. We're going to talk about these guys in terms of NFL teams, how they fit. It's going to be so exciting. So you know what? If you like the video, please leave it a like down below. We'd really appreciate it. You know what? Theoretically, it helps push the content out to other people. We don't get many likes, so you could be one of the first. I'm just kidding. People love the content. What are you talking about? And if you do enjoy the content, please subscribe. It does wonders for our ego, and we would greatly appreciate it.
We're bringing you the mock draft, of course. We're bringing you more top 10s. We're bringing you our favorite players in this class. Can't wait for the My Guys episode.
Yes.
That is going to be one hell of a
4
time.
hours.
We have plenty of great content still on the way.
All right, it's going to be a heck of a draft season, so stay tuned. We still got 2 months left of this, man. Tape grind is not remotely begun.
All right. Anything left before we get out of here and go to bed?
I think we're good.
Ladies and gentlemen, as always, stay hard.